Thursday's show, we talked about the Marlins situation, the Marlins outbreak, and how I thought, my perspective was, it was a best-case scenario for Major League Baseball in the sense that the virus infiltrated baseball not through inevitability, not because it's impossible to resume sports in a pandemic without a bubble, because you had a few guys, a few idiots, a few knuckleheads on the Marlins when they were in Atlanta, go out to the town, go to the clubs, go to the restaurants, be careless, not really respect the protocols, not really respect the virus, and obviously they bring it back and infect the entire team. But so far as we know, no one on the Phillies, player-wise, has tested positive, which is huge. And the virus was contained to just the Marlins. Well, now we see an outbreak happening with the Cardinals. So 18 players on the Marlins have been affected. Now, currently, one player on the Cardinals has been affected. But if you read reports last night, new numbers and new testing is supposed to come back today at some point. MLB and the Cardinals are bracing for more positive tests from players. So we'll see what that outbreak looks like. We'll see what happens. So obviously, the coronavirus is going to have a major impact on the season, and obviously that's a major hurdle to clear. But to me, there is one bigger hurdle Major League Baseball has to clear. There's one obstacle that's even tougher than the coronavirus for Major League Baseball to clear. And if they can't clear it, if they can't get over it, if they can't get past it, the season is doomed. And that is the ability for both sides to work together. That is the ability for both sides to come together and actually agree on something. Because as we know, and we've spent many a time on this show criticizing the players, criticizing baseball ownership, criticizing Rob Manfred, criticizing baseball overall. Just Major League Baseball, you bundle it up, there's always something to criticize them about. Why? Because they have never, the players and the owners, the players in the league have never before really been able to work together. Whether it's salary, whether just 2020, as we saw the ugliness for months that ensued publicly between the players and the owners over salary. Free agency suppression, talking about salary, the owners just not wanting to pay anywhere near market price for free agents, suppressing the market, and the players are very furious about it. Major League Baseball has tried to implement pace of play protocols throughout the years. Rob Manfred has really spearheaded this. Players are basically spit in his face. No thanks, we're good. We're not going to do it. And that's led to zero trust between the players and the owners, which is detrimental when there's not a pandemic going on. It's worrisome when everything is good in the world. But now in a pandemic, now when you're playing a sport without a bubble, and you're trying for everyone to be on the same page to follow the rules, guess what? That lack of trust, that lack of agreement or coming together before, really now comes to the forefront. Because it is more important than ever that the players and Major League Baseball, the players and the owners, players and the commissioner, are in lockstep together about trying to keep everyone safe and keeping this season alive. Because right now, both sides need to be accountable for what's happened. Both sides need to have accountability for the Marlins getting sick, for the Cardinals getting sick, and going forward, they need to take joint accountability for anyone that gets sick by skirting the rules. And so far, guess what? Neither side has taken accountability. You have Rob Manfred over the weekend threatening the players, saying if you don't tighten it up, we're going to pull the plug. And I will say this. I agree with Rob Manfred to a point. I agree with actually Rob Manfred and the players. I'll explain both. Rob Manfred has a point. The players need to tighten it up. Going to the clubs, going to casinos is inexcusable. Inexcusable. Especially when you look at the fact that when the bubble idea was first floated out, when the thought of a bubble back in March and April, or multiple, hub cities, the players shot that down right away. We're not doing a bubble. We're not doing hub cities. No way. Okay, fine. Major League Baseball relented. They said we're gonna play the season. We're gonna put some protocols in, but it's up to you to follow them. And so far, guess what? The players have not followed them. The Marlins are going out to clubs. The Cardinals reportedly are going out to casinos. You look in the dugouts. I mean, the dugouts, you think there's no coronavirus around. High fives, no social distancing, not many masks being worn. The players, for the most part, have not acted like a virus and a pandemic is going on. So the players absolutely have to tighten it up. Rob Manfred is right about that. But at the same time, if you're the players, there's not much protocol dissuading you from doing whatever you want. In Major League Baseball, when they laid out this 113-page guidebook of rules and regulations of how to act on the field, off the field, to try to keep everyone safe, you know what they didn't do? You know what they didn't include? Punishments or consequences if you break protocol. They strongly recommend you stay in your hotel room on the road. They strongly recommend you avoid bars, you avoid clubs. But guess what? There's no punishments outlined if players don't follow the rules. And guess what? Major League Baseball already announced, Rob Manfred already announced, the Marlins are not getting punished. The team that single-handedly almost took down Major League Baseball the first week of the season will not be punished for breaking the rules, for contracting the virus, bringing it into the locker room from activities that they weren't supposed to be doing. And again, close call, but one weekend in almost took down the entire sport. So if you're the players, how can you take these protocols seriously if Major League Baseball isn't taking some of these protocols seriously? Not to mention, you look at Major League Baseball, they are so unprepared for what actually was going to happen. I'm not sure if they just dreamt that the virus would go away. They dreamt that the virus wouldn't infiltrate their teams. But when the Marlins outbreak occurred, they were so unprepared, they didn't know what to do, that they're making up as they go. And as I said, the 113 pages that they outlined for protocols about how the season is going to go, there was not one sentence, one page about what happens if an outbreak happens within a team, and what happens if players break protocol. I'm not sure. Again, I don't know what Major League Baseball was doing during that time, but how there's no outline or guideline of, okay, an outbreak happens with this team, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this, this, and this. That's not the case. They're making it up as they go. The Marlins had 3 positive tests last Sunday. They played against the Phillies. The Cardinals have 1 positive test this weekend. All 3 games are postponed. Major League Baseball, guys, is making it up as they go. The Phillies have not played a game in a week despite having 0 positive tests. Now, I think personally that's the right move. Better be safe than sorry. But there's no real rhyme or reason for them to do so. So it's up to Major League Baseball, and they still yet to this day have not implemented stricter rules. You know what they've done? Instead of instituting harsh penalties, instead of instituting fines if players break protocol, instead of mandating quarantine if players go out to restaurants or clubs like the NBA is doing, they are bringing a compliance officer along to every team. They are bringing someone along to say, you, sir, are now going to be in charge of the Cardinals. Make sure all players and coaches are following the rules. That's it. That's their big plan. So Major League Baseball, to me, is dropping the ball when they don't institute harsh penalties. There's 2 ways. As we know, with anything in this world, there are 2 ways to dissuade people from doing stuff. Money. You get penalized and you lose money if you break the rules. And jail, which in this case, essentially is quarantine. Look at the NBA. I said this on Thursday too, and I love the NBA's strictness with following the bubble outline. The NBA created their own ecosystem in Orlando. And they said, we're going to do the best we can to keep the virus out. If you do something to break that protocol, if you do something to possibly put the bubble at risk, you, sir, are going to be punished. A player accidentally goes too far outside of the bubble to pick up food that he ordered. Very innocent. Picking up food. Crossed the line he didn't realize he was supposed to cross. Boom. NBA puts him in a mandatory quarantine. You're going to stay in your room for a certain amount of time until we know you didn't bring the virus in and you're clear. Lou Williams goes to Magic City. Claims to get wings, whether he saw the woman or not, who cares? He breaks protocol. He's in his room for 10 days. That essentially is jail. You were in your hotel room. You can't leave. You can't even open the door for 10 days. Tell me, if you broke the rules, if there was rules outlined at work where you're supposed to be 6 feet from someone, you're supposed to wear a mask, you're supposed to, really for the most part, be responsible, not go to places that are dangerous or you could contract the virus. And if your punishment, if you're caught, was sitting in your own room for 10 straight days, tell me, would it be worth it? You can have a TV in your room, you can have a computer, you can have a phone. I promise you, 10 days, especially in the summertime, when you look out your window, you see the sun shining, you see it's gorgeous out. 10 days in your room, you can't open the door, you can't leave your own room for 10 straight days. Tell me, is it worth it? I promise you it's not. I promise you it's not. If that was the punishment, if that was a consequence hanging over your head, if you did something you weren't supposed to do, I promise you, you will not do that. Or you will try your best not to do that. Same thing with money. The players, as we know, are already making so little for what they should have been paid if it was a full season. And honestly, what they should have been paid for just playing a season in the pandemic, let alone. So now if you hurt them in their wallets even more, you take away more money, you institute harsh fines, guess what? All of a sudden that casino, that club, that restaurant, not looking that tempting. Really not much of a decision to be made there. So as we see, when one player can almost single-handedly take down the league, when a group of Marlins players goes out to a club, contracts the virus, brings it back, infects almost half their team. Think about 18 players out of 30 are sick. And honestly, I do think if the Phillies became sick, the league would have been shut down. So you are that close. You skirted danger that close. Major League Baseball cannot take another chance. So Rob Manfred is right. The players have to tighten it up. You have to be better. And to the players, to be fair to the players, 28 out of the 30 teams have done so. 20 out of the 30 teams have not tested positive, have been doing the right thing so far, and have kept themselves safe. But as you know, one team or one player could take it all down. So while Rob Manfred is right, the players have to tighten it up. They have to be better and more responsible. It's also up to Major League Baseball to take the temptation away. Because guess what? Wherever these players go, clubs are open. Bars are open. Restrictions, but they're open. You can't make it worth it. You can't make it that tempting. Quarantine, fines. You got to make an example. You have to hold these players accountable. Because guess what? This is going to be really hard. And we are a week in, and we're already talking about, can baseball survive? Think about that. We are a week into the season, and we're discussing, can Major League Baseball finish their season? Do you have faith Major League Baseball can finish their season? That's not what we should be talking about. We should be talking about the actual play on the field. Twice now, since the season started. Thursday and now today, we're talking about Major League Baseball and the status of their season. Tighten it up, fix it up on both sides, players and the league. Because guess what? Like I said, they have to work together. They have to be in lockstep. And that's what concerns me more than the virus itself, to be honest. Players are going to do their own thing. They don't respect Major League Baseball. The season is dead. If the league is being unrealistic or not working with the players to make sure that all the protocols are being followed, the season's dead. So I'll be honest. On Thursday, I sat here and said, I still have faith the season will get done. I still have faith Major League Baseball can figure it out. Guess what? My faith is less. Doubt is really starting to creep into my mind, to be honest. Because when it comes to the league and the players working together, we've never seen that really happen before. And that's what scares me. That's what gives me pause. That's what gives me doubt that a season can finish and we will crown a champion. So I hope the players in the league can get together, work this out, institute punishments, work together to make sure that the league is instituting the right protocols and the players are following them. A weekend, that's not been the case. They have 7 weeks to go. At least that's even before the playoffs start. 7 weeks in the regular season to go. Can they do it? I hope so, but I'll be honest, my faith is waning. It is not looking good.